Partnerships can either make or break your business. Welcome to Freedom Entrepreneurship, where we are answering one question. How can we have both growth and freedom? Or if we are lacking freedom at the moment, how can we regain our freedom as an entrepreneur? My name is Stephan Poschik. Let's get started. Today I want to talk about a specific thing which literally can either make or break your business, and that's everything around partnerships. So with partnerships, you can get into huge successful areas, you can speed up your process, you can remove your dependency out of your business, you can gain so much more freedom, or it is going to be hell on earth. Because partnerships can also get you really stuck, can drown a lot of energy, or can even bring you into legal, very difficult situations, or basically just into a situation where you are more or less stuck because they are not delivering, you are delivering, and there are very different expectations. So let's dive into it. Partnerships is in general a really great opportunity to work with other people and to speed up your own progress and your own success. Why? Pretty easy, because when you work with partners, you can immediately tap into tremendous amounts of resources. So they can bring resources to you where you probably do not have the manpower or where you do not have the knowledge or the team members who can execute this on your end. So why not grow with partners? When you grow with partners, though, be careful, because, like I said in the beginning, partners can either make or break your success. Why be careful? What I see in a lot of entrepreneurial situations, and what we also experience in the coaching and consulting, what we are doing is, a lot of people have a conversation with a potential partner. They have a very short conversation, they think, oh, there is so tremendous amount of opportunities here, and then they immediately start into the partnership. So they don't do anything that's called value alignment, they do not vet the partners, they do not have shared responsibilities, they do not have clear expectations, and on and on and on and on and on. So this would basically be the same like you meet somebody in the bar and you immediately marry this person. After the first couple of sentences you ever spoke to this person, you immediately marry this person and you're expecting that you have the perfect relationship for the rest of your life and everything is going to work out successfully. So to be honest, who would do this in private life? Nobody. But in business life, a lot of people are approaching partnerships exactly like that. So this is why you should approach partnerships pretty much differently. So let's talk about one of the first things you should do when you work with partners. You should vet partners. Vetting your partners means you have to do due diligence to really figure out if this partner is reliable, if this partner can really deliver what you are going to need from him and what he is claiming that he can do or she can do. Okay? Why am I so careful about that? Surprise, surprise. Guess what? Because I burned myself multiple times with partners and I just trusted them and I did not do enough due diligence and research. And then I was stuck with this partner. And I experienced partnerships where they tried to take advantage of me, where they tried to screw me over, where I delivered what I said in the partnership, the partners did not deliver, they fell short, or they started to complain, and on and on and on and on. So when you vet partners, a great opportunity nowadays is let AI do a deep research. Then do a research yourself. And then also ask the partners for referrals or for testimonials. So I recently worked out a partnership with somebody and I asked if I may speak to somebody who is already working with him in this specific area. And I had a great conversation. And if somebody has the track record, if somebody has the testimonials, if somebody can deliver what they claim, it normally should not be any type of issue that you can speak to a customer or that you can see testimonials or references. So that's basically from the vetting part. The second thing, when you did your research and you had a lot of conversations, you should do something that is called value alignment. Value alignment is something, what are your core values? What are the core values of your customer, of your potential partner? And then you need to see if this is a fit. I give you an example. If one of your core values is speed to execution, and the core value from your partner is quality and perfection, then there might be a misalignment between the two of you, because the partner always wants to have the perfect quality, everything needs to be highest quality, and he doesn't care on the speed of execution. You are probably in a position where you say, okay, it's much more important to be fast and test something fast and bring it to market as fast as possible. And the quality is important, but not the most important at the beginning. Okay, guess what? Sooner than later, you are going to run into issues because there is a misalignment of values. So I have a value statement in my companies, which is also combined with our vision and mission statement from our company. So when I vet the partner and when I go into this value alignment, I send over my value statement and I request a value statement from my partner. And then I can see if this is a fit, or maybe if there are different values and different expectations. If the partner doesn't have something like that, have at least a brief conversation about it. Have at least a conversation where you talk about what is important for you and what you are expecting from your partner. So that's the next step when it comes to value alignment. Good. So next thing, now we have step number 3. Clear expectations, roles, and responsibilities. The more clear and detailed you can be in a partnership, the easier and more successful the partnership is going to be later on. Same again, if you are not clear enough at the beginning, you are going to suffer later on. And yes, of course, you always will you always will get into a situation where you need to figure certain things out in the future. But not everything should be figured out on the way. Because when you expect that your partner is handling that, and your partner is expecting no way he's going to do that, you are going to do that, nobody's going to execute it, and at some point you need to have a conversation, and then you figure out, oh shit, we both don't want to execute it, we both don't want to do it, but now we are already in the middle of this project or in this partnership, and now we need to do something, and one of the two needs to start to execute it, even if you don't want it or if you don't like it. So clear expectations, responsibilities, who is doing what, when, and how. And this can be, for example, that you put together an SOW, so a scope of work. So an SOW is a scope of work where you map out all the tasks that the project is going to require, or all the roles that the project is going to require. And then you just put your name or the name of your partner into or next to this document. And this is basically a foundational document. And I'm not talking about the document that is 100,000% perfect here, where every single super small to-do and task is going to be mapped out. That would be overkill. But the big, major responsibilities should be in this document. That you really know, okay, this is what my partner is going to deliver. This is what I'm going to deliver. Because later on, you don't need to discuss these things anymore. You don't need to guess who is responsible for this area. You don't need to guess who is responsible or accountable for this specific delivery. You have your SOW, and this is like the foundational construct of your partnership. Okay, good. So, clear expectations, roles, and responsibilities. Now, when we talk about clear expectations and roles and responsibilities, we also need to talk about who is going to make the calls, who is going to make decisions, around budget, around acquisitions, around deals, around the next steps, but also what are the expectations and clear understanding of a goal. Because when you go into a partnership, you just need to have very clear goals. And both sides need to be clear on the goal and have the same understanding around the goal. Because there is a difference if you want to achieve in this partnership 1 million in revenue within 12 months, or if somebody wants to achieve 1 million in profit within the next 6 months. Okay, so also here, I know this might sound simple, but don't assume if you never talked about it. Don't assume that your partner understands exactly the same things when you talk about the number. Make sure when you talk about a goal from 1 million, make sure that you are clear on what is it and what is the timeline behind it. Same again, when you both are super excited about this 1 million goal and you have a 12 months time frame behind this goal, and your partner would be super and hyper excited if you achieve this in the next 3 years, guess what? Different expectations. And at some point you are going to run into a not so easy conversation because the timeline and the expectations behind it are completely different. Okay? Wonderful. So, clear expectations. Now, roles. We talked about the SOW, so you should have already the information who is responsible for what. But now it also comes to decision-making power. Basically, let's talk about an example. Let's go into a new company, and when you found a new company with a new partner, then, okay, you need to talk about who is the CEO. What is my role? What is your role? What is my equity? What is your equity? What are my deliverables? What are your deliverables? How much budget can I decide on my own? How much budget can you decide on your own? Okay, what is the partnership about when it comes to decision-making power? Who can decide what? Also here, you need to have the same understanding at the beginning. And same again here, please don't try to get an overkill or don't get perfection here. But you need to have a baseline, you need to have a foundational understanding who can decide what. And this can be as simple as, okay, your role is marketing, my role is sales. Okay, good. You are calling the plays around marketing. I'm calling the plays around sales. That's an example. Or, okay, you are making decisions based on budget, and your partner can make decisions on budget up to 10K. You can make decisions up to 100K without the partner. Or both of you need to talk about every single financial decision in this partnership. Okay? So these are just very simple examples, but very important examples. Have clarity, talk about that, and get it down in written form. Okay? Good. So here we go. We already talked about multiple things. So we talked about the role, we talked about the clarity, we talked about the decision rights, we talked about the shared goals, we talked about how you step into this, so value alignment, and we talked also about the vetting. So now let's talk about something else which is more on a very top level from a strategic perspective. People tend to step into partnerships with people where they are exactly like you, because you can connect with these people very, very well, and you have shared ideas, shared topics you can talk about, shared viewpoints, and on and on and on. Okay, that might be interesting, or that might be super from a conversational perspective, but that might cause an issue when it comes to a strategic fit. What do I mean with a strategic fit? When you are an expert in operations, and now you partner with somebody who is also an expert in operations, now you have two operational experts who can be very aligned around operations. But there is also something that's called sales and marketing. So who the hell is going to be responsible for sales and marketing? Okay, so you understand? So a strategic fit should be a partner should bring the resources or the knowledge or the experience to the table, what you do not have. Because two operational experts are great, but somebody needs to handle the other stuff. Of course, it's great when you are awesome in delivery. Nobody's doing marketing, nobody's generating leads, nobody's selling the things that you can execute later on. So let's say the same example. You are excellent when it comes to operations, but you have a hard time or lack the knowledge or the resources when it comes to sales and marketing. Then a strategic fit for a partnership would be you're the operations expert, you search for a partner who is expert in sales and marketing, you partner with each other, and guess what? Now you have a very, very successful opportunity in front of you. They are clear responsible for sales and marketing, you are clear responsible for operations. And you just need to find these type of partnerships, okay? So, like I said, please take a look at the strategic fit of the partnership. From a personal side, it's not ideal. Okay? Personal side, like I said, you need to vet, you have the value alignment, that's super important, but that's not everything. So that was basically the strategic fit. And now let's talk about one more thing when it comes to partnerships, and that's called the dependency risk. So yes, you are in a show around freedom entrepreneurship where you can remove your ass out of the daily grind and dependencies. So when you step into a partnership where there is again a high dependency, you entering another area of high risk. I give you an example again. Let's say you have a small business, you have your 20 or your 30 employees. Now you step into a partnership with a solopreneur. And this solopreneur is probably responsible for the whole lead generation in your company. What happens if this solopreneur gets sick? Or if this solopreneur wants to be on vacation? Or if something happens in the family from the solopreneur and this person needs to take care of their kids, of their wife, of their elders, whatever, okay? So here you are creating a dependency where you are creating a dependency risk. So when this one person basically would drop out from one moment to the next, what is happening to your company? What are the consequences for your partnership? What are the consequences for your daily business? So be very clear and very aware if the partnership what you are creating is not creating more dependency instead of less dependency. And when it's just one person, it always can be difficult or hard to really have a great established partnership. On the other hand side, when you have your small business and you have maybe your 20 or 30 employees and you partner with somebody, this company has also a handful or maybe 5, 10, 20 employees, wonderful. Even if one person probably is not available or drops out or is on vacation or is sick, there is a team behind them. There is a team where they can continue to deliver. They can continue to work together with you even if one person drops out of this partnership or drops out of the resources. So that was basically the last part of the dependency risk. Good, wonderful. Now you know the framework for partnerships, and if you have more questions on how to find and identify and vet the right partners and how you structure that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and to connect with me. So the easiest way to connect with me is you just search for me on LinkedIn with my name, Stephan Poschik, Stephan with an P and an H, and then my last name, Poschik. This is Poschik. The good part is on LinkedIn, there is only one Stephan Poschik over there. So find my name and reach out to me. And I also have a very special additional gift for you, because when you want to know on how you really can live freedom entrepreneurship, how you can regain your freedom, then I created a very special white paper for you. So in the show notes, you find the link for the white paper, so you can download it for free. Or again, search for my name on LinkedIn. This is Stephan Poschik, and text me freedom, and I'm going to send over the free white paper. In the meantime, I wish you a lot of success and see you and hear you in the next episode. Thanks for now.